Welcome to the future garden site. We are well onto our way to starting to grow some of our food again this year. This is the area we picked. It's a beautiful open area. It used to be kind of like a grassy meadow, and we kind of knew right when we moved here that this was pretty much where we wanted the garden to go because of its openness, how much sun it gets. We'd already marked it out, and it works perfect with some of the other structures that we want to put in or we have currently.
And we have been working on this garden site for a long time. I mean, in the winter, I think even last fall, hauling in materials, like Arielle said, marking it. And then most recently, what we've been doing is scraping all of the topsoil off. I was bringing in some gravel. We were smoothing things out. We've got our compost pile mixed up behind the camera. What we're starting with here is a blank slate. So we don't have just this nice fertile ground where we're just gonna plant seeds and things are gonna grow. We're starting with soil that's not ideal and gravel and rock.
We recently figured out a way to utilize our native soil, which is awesome, with this cool sifter or screen that Eric built. And like he mentioned, it's really been a lot of planning. We started hauling the materials back in January. There was a few trees back there that we had to get cut down. We've got to basically create this garden from scratch. And let's talk about the size.
So the size is big. We're going 80 feet this way, 105 feet that way, and that's going to be the fence perimeter.
Yeah, and part of that size is actually because we do have to put a greenhouse in here, so we had to keep that in mind.
Yep.
And the whole thing's going to be enclosed. We need to protect it from, we'll say, vegetative predators, so things like moose or other animals that would be interested in the vegetables.
Especially our chickens.
Yeah, chickens is very high up there. And we're going to be planting a lot of the things that we've grown before. So berries, perennials, some fruit trees, we're trying those again. And of course, vegetables and all of the hot crops. So I don't imagine that we will get this all done in 1 year. This is a really ambitious thing to try to do. It's going to be more like in stages as it's been so far, but it's pretty exciting that we're making headway on it.
And the size of the greenhouse that's going in there is also going to be big, so that's a 60 by 30. And then we also want to spread this garden out. We're not going to like jam pack it full. We want to be able to drive the tractor in here, get the Polaris in here, be able to expand, move around.
Space was a huge consideration.
Yep.
We need the space. We wanted the space this time around. But of course it is costly to build the fence. So we did opt to put like our soil and our compost. We're gonna actually have that all outside of the garden. That will be workable somewhere else. It just does not make sense to have it in the actual protected garden space. We have a mountain of compost, but I know that we are going to need more.
Yes, and the dump trailer is going to get more use hauling that in. The plan is, or I guess the goal, over the next 3 days is what I'm thinking, is to get this whole perimeter fenced in and put one of our gates in. We don't have a second gate yet, but that's the goal.
Yeah, we want dual entrances. That's a noble goal for sure. We're on a late start today. It's middle of the day, so we better get to work.
Let's go. And I figured it's better to leave a little on the top. We bury these so we can just come back and cut it later.
Yeah, I mean, eventually you're gonna hit a rock, but
I think it's going to go about right where that tan rock is.
it is. It's
up a little
somewhere
more.
in.
So that's 4 feet. We want 8 feet above ground, so that's a 12 feet post we can stick in there, plus
you
a little more.
want
13, 14,
to-
15. Yeah, I want to sit it here
Okay.
and get it level, and then I want to get we'll just hit our diagonal again real quick. Sorry about that.
I'm guessing right back in. See a little more back towards those rocks.
Yeah, but it's
Oh, I'm sure.
unfortunately it's
really
heavy.
hard. Like right there. I would say that's center.
It's a little long.
Oh gosh.
Okay, can you hold that?
Yeah, I can
Right
hold it.
now we're sitting, I'm guessing
That's a good 12 feet, man.
yeah, it is.
Maybe just try cutting one.
It's almost 13 feet.
Yay.
So we only need to be at 8 or 8.5.
So you'd rather use a smaller post?
Or we can just cut some off this, because this is going to be a pain having this be so heavy, trying to get it in.
actually, with the loop, I was in the middle of the pipe. So if I'm doing pure, do you want me to be in the middle of the pipe?
Right now, I say we just hit all 4 corners though.
Can you tell me if that's straight? I'm listening to you, but this side was straight already. Surprisingly, yeah.
That's done, I guess.
Surprisingly level. No, it's
That's
really
nice.
solid.
Once we put the other ones in, we can move it exact, and then we'll weld it.
Isn't it crazy how solid it is, dude? You can't even budge the post.
It is. Let's see how far above ground we are. Yeah, a little over 9 feet. 9 feet, 2 inches maybe.
9 feet.
9 feet, 2 or 3 inches. First of many posts down. What we're using for our posts is actually old drill pipe. So this pipe has been decommissioned for some reason up in the northern part of Alaska, and this pipe has actually drilled oil, which I just find that kind of fascinating that now it's going to be a fence for our garden, and we're building our fence to last. This is 3.5 inches. And it's 1/4 inch thick. So this stuff is heavy. You saw Arielle and I grabbing this thing and putting it in. I mean, this one piece that was 15 feet, it had to have weighed a couple 100 pounds. And we picked this all up in January from a metal place we like to go to in Fairbanks, and it all came in 30-foot sticks, which was too long for our trailer, which is only 20 feet. So we had the guys there cut it down for us. We have a stack that are 15 feet long. We have some that are 10 feet long. And then we have the rest that are all going to be 20 feet long. And the corners are going to be where all of our strength is. We're going to have a post here. We're going to go over, I don't know how far yet, anywhere from 3 to 5 feet. We're going to put a post there, and then we're going to also do it there, and we're going to tie those in with the metal right here. That way when we go to tighten our fence, the corners are just going to be like super solid. And the corners, we're going to go in about 4 feet in the ground, and then the ones that aren't in the corners, we'll probably go like 2 to 3 feet in the ground with those ones. Our ground, although pretty level, it's nowhere near perfectly level. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get these over 8 feet. So when we put our 8-foot fencing on here, we're gonna come through at the end, and we're gonna have to chop them all level with the 8-foot fence. That's gonna be a task. This metal is thick. We're using a cutoff saw, and it's hard to do, especially if I'm up on something and I got to cut it at an angle. So we'll find something to cut those with a little later on. Arielle and I originally were looking into getting a post hole digger for the back of our tractor, but through our research and confirming it with one of our neighbors who has a similar tractor to us, it's not going to work in this rocky of soil. So it's just going to bind up when it hits some of the big boulders that we have. The backhoe did an awesome job, and this is the plan. We're going to do all 4 corners. We've got one done. Let's get the other 3, and then we'll come back and we'll start putting our side posts in. We'll cut some saddles and see if we can strengthen this thing up.
Check out these rocks. This is what our ground is made of. So big rocks, gravel. It's nice and smooth. This area was actually like an old riverbed ran through here, and that is why we have so much gravel, which makes for excellent drainage, as you can imagine. In the past, Eric and I have had to worry a lot about frost heaving, or we've had issues with it. We were a little bit new to frost heaving when we moved. We were completely new to frost heaving when we moved to Alaska. And what that is when there's water in the ground and you come into winter, it expands and it can actually displace and move structures. Definitely, you know, fence posts are susceptible because they're so lightweight. And especially again, when it thaws, you know, you've got that shifting going on. We virtually don't have any issues with that here because of the structure of all the rocks and the great drainage. But we are going really beefy on this because we want it to last. We want it to be here for a very long time. We probably could have done a better job on our fences in the past and just learned a little bit more, but it's just not an issue here. If you didn't have heavy machinery, this would probably be a little bit difficult to do because it is pretty heavy dirt or gravel to move around. This is hole number 3, so let's get the post in.
About there is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
That can't get any more level, so we did it. We got our 4 corner posts in, and I personally feel like that's kind of like the hardest thing to get absolutely perfect. But to do that, what we did is we took our length and our width. So 105 feet by 80 feet, and you could do the math, you know, if you know how to do it, I don't really know, or the easiest way to do it is just to use an online calculator to get the diagonal. So this is gonna make sure your square isn't like cockeyed like that. So ours is perfectly square. Our diagonal is 132 feet. Next thing we're gonna do is start working on the second post that's gonna go next to these. We're going to tie a string around these near the ground. We're gonna start with these two. We're gonna go from this one down there, and then we'll run our paint along the ground, and that's gonna give us a perfectly straight line between these two, and I'll give us our starting point and let us know where to dig. Let's run the string and then we'll paint it.
Oh, it's like a straight chalk line.
Next up, we're going to be notching some of this pipe. We've decided to go with 5-foot sections between our corner posts. It'll kind of make sense in a little bit. And the reason we're notching them is so they fit flush against the post. So let's imagine this is the post we just put in the ground. If we just stick it like that, you got these big gaps and everything, and you're only going to be able to get a weld on the top and the bottom, and we don't want that. So we're going to try to notch it so it fits around it. Did a little bit of research on how to do this and what method I wanted to use. We're going with the angle grinder, and then we've got this little jig here. The way it works is it goes around like this. You have to get these for whatever size tube you use. So this is a 3.5 inch, and this fits 3.5 inch. It kind of fits 3.5 inches, a little small. So like the top's there. And then we'll go around here, trace this. Get the bottom.
You mean, are they center?
Yeah, is that center?
We could run a string.
It looks centered to me if it looks centered to you. There we go. Let's fire up the generator. We've got them marked out. This is some thick metal, so let's see how this goes and we'll see how our fit is. Didn't work really well.
The blade's already damaged?
Yeah, I think what I need to do is I just need to get it at an angle and just cut through. Yeah, this one's toast.
That blade is supposed to cut through this metal?
Yeah. See if it fits at all. It actually fits pretty decent though. Piece sticks out like super far. It's like you barely use any of the blade, but the blade goes way in there. Well, we're running into some issues. I was pretty excited when we were gonna do this project and we were gonna notch these big pipes. I was like, I gotta buy a new, bigger angle grinder. The one I have is a 4-inch Bosch. I love that thing. I've had it for like 8 years probably actually. It's a really good grinder and I bought this rigid one and I don't know what's going on. A few different things are happening. First, it's like destroying these blades. So those thin ones are for cutting. These thicker ones, like it came with this one, these are for grinding. And I mean, they fit on there fine and everything, but for some reason this plate on here is like huge. So when you put a cutoff wheel on there, I mean, it takes up like most of the cutoff wheel. So if you cut down to there, which I haven't even got there yet, you would be wasting like an 1.5 inches to 2 inches of this. And I've been messing with it, trying to figure out if I can get this to go on without that. It won't go on, and it's also not tightening these blades down. I cranked it down as tight as I could get it, and as I'm cutting in the metal, this is still slipping, and it's ripped out the center of this one. So I don't know if there's like some specific rigid blades I need to get that fit this or what. I'm using the Diablo ones. They usually fit everything, but we're figuring things out. On a plus note, I did finish the one, and it turned out really good, and it's gonna work. The bad news is we have to do a lot of these, like 10, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's like 20 cuts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we got one done.
You
Plus
only
I
need
started
2
that
for...
one. There we go. Pretty good, huh?
Uh-huh.
Should go. Man, it's tight.
There go Mars. Does it have
Just go on top of it. Just go on top.
On top?
Of the,
It wouldn't be so bad if there wasn't a hole right in the middle.
to the line up top of this. So go down a little more. Right there, go somewhere. That's level. You got it cinched, you know what I mean, right here?
Too tight.
I'm pulling the bottom in, we're trying to pull it out.
I was gonna go up higher, but I think that's fine. I can just stay there. That's the rough right there. See that?
I don't think she's gonna fall off. Boom! That was very difficult.
Yeah, we should probably get a
Yeah.
different process, huh?
Well, we got one in, we've got it welded, and Well, it's not all the way, and we got to bury this side. So this is kind of what I was trying to explain earlier. We're gonna have a cross support here. So you're gonna have like a triangle in the ground, and we're gonna have one going that way, and we're gonna bury it deep in the ground, and that's gonna give us a lot of strength that way and that way, which is the way we got to go with the fence. This was pretty difficult to put in because the pipe is so heavy, and not only do we have to get this one level, but we have to get this one level, and we also have to get perfectly aligned with our line, which we did, and it was kind of difficult. So we'll try to figure out a different way to do it on the next ones, but pretty cool. Let's put some dirt in there and bury her. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
I don't know how I'm gonna get that dirt in there too. It's like kind of.
How many are we gonna try to get done tonight? Maybe two more?
Thought we were done after this one, but yeah, let's keep going.
It's only 8 o'clock.
It's 8 o'clock?
I think it's 8 o'clock.
Only?
There's some iced coffee on the inside.
No, come on. Let's call it quits for the night.
What? Are we gonna paint those or just let them rest?
No. Those will rust.
Add to the character?
Everything. To run the string
Yeah.
for this one and do this one next.
And I actually had a few questions about how we can figure out the supports based upon how you want the gate to open and exit and which side, and then I'll be able to tell you. This puts anything on any of our other fences to shame.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's what I was saying. You could like winch off of this thing.
I think I want to change our channel name to Extreme Alaska.
Extreme living Alaska.
Extreme Living Alaska!
Well, it's midday. My back's about to give out on me already, and we've got a lot of work done this morning. I've gotten all of these pipes right here with the notches. So I did all of them for the corners. I think I got 6 done this morning. And then I also cut a bunch of these posts at the length we need, which is about 13 feet right now. And I have been using the big rigid grinder for cutting those notches, and we figured out what the problem was. Apparently there's a different type of blade that you can use on these angle grinders. This is the type that I'm familiar with and I've always used, and I guess it's called a Type 1. And through some research, this one takes one called a Type 27. We don't have those, and it's got like a little raised center or a bevel that comes up. So that's the one you're supposed to use on this. Next time we run to Fairbanks, I'll try to pick some of those up. But I am getting by with these, and we're making it work. I think I only got a notch, 2, maybe 4 more. So we'll get the project done with that one. We're gonna keep working, and I'm pretty excited for this next one because we're gonna actually put like the next post next to it, if that makes sense. So we're gonna have strength, not just the one way, we're gonna have strength the other way. Let's get that one in, and that'll be a finished corner, and we'll see how it turns out.
I can feel a little like it's not moved, but it's like, oh, just pull out my shoulders. Don't even try to touch that one because you can't feel nothing. Like you can feel a little bit of, what is that, like the vibration?
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually move at all. So this is a finished corner, and it is very strong. Probably even stronger than I thought it would be. You cannot. I don't even know if the tractor can move this. This is a really intense for a garden. I got that. Why am I so weak? This corner right here. Have you actually tried it yet to see how strong it is? It's confirmed. It's really strong. We've got 3 more corners to do. Hopefully we can do them all today. There's no trigger. Eric, I didn't know that.
As soon as it touches it goes.
Okay. That's mine.
Let's see how it looks. looks about the same as mine. This little welder is ripping though, I'm telling you. All right, let's bury her. Getting a lot done today. We officially have all 4 corners up. It's turning out awesome. It is taking a long time. Each piece of pipe you put in the ground and then the cross beam is like its whole own situation, and it has its own difficulties, but we're gonna be having 2 entrances to this garden. One of them is gonna be right here. You can see some paint on the ground. This is 4 feet wide. Actually, this isn't where it's going. It's going right here. So it's gonna be, this is where we're gonna put 2 posts, and then the gate's gonna go right there. This one's gonna be 4 feet wide, and it's gonna be just like a regular human entrance. And then on that side, let's walk over there and I'll show you. That entrance I just showed you, that's closer to the house. That's where we're mostly gonna be coming in. And then during like the construction of this whole garden, or if we're bringing manure in, or if we need to use the tractor or the Polaris, they're gonna come in here. So the gate is gonna hinge on these posts right here. Every place we have a gate. So here on the other side, we're gonna do the double posts, and it just makes it really solid. So the hinges are gonna be here, and this one's actually gonna be 10 feet. So I think it was gonna come out to somewhere like about right here or something. And these gates, this one's gonna be able to swing in that way or out this way. The compost pile is gonna go over there. Our dirt pile is gonna go over there. This whole garden and where we're putting the gates and things like that, Arielle has taken a lot of thought and care to where everything is gonna go. So it's all kind of mapped out, and I'm just putting them where she wants them. We're gonna do one more thing for the evening. I think it's getting kind of late. We're gonna try to get the 2 posts in over there where the little gate's gonna go, and then Arielle found something pretty special in the chicken coop.
It reminds me of pollywogs. You know pollywogs?
This is all we have left. This is what we're down to. It's not going fast. What do you got there?
I feel like that episode of Seinfeld when Elaine's looking at the little Pez dispenser. This is a hilariously tiny egg, probably the tiniest Eric and I have ever gotten from one of our chickens. We have gotten small ones before, but not this small. This actually looks like a little wild bird or something, a little songbird. If I had a hamster, I feel like I would cook them up a little micro meal right now. I'm not sure what we're gonna do with this one though.
Well, broody chickens.
No, she's not. She's not pretty, she's faking.
We're back at it, and we're hoping for a 3-day project. Unfortunately, today is day 3, and I'm gonna say it's not gonna get done today, but what we are gonna try to get done today is to get all the posts in the ground, and then hopefully the next day we'll be able to wrap things up. And I ran out of grinding wheels. I was just eating through them, but I just finished our last little cross brace that I'm gonna do these saddles or these notches in, and I was actually able to use the Stihl gas-powered cutoff saw, and it worked really well. So I was barely having to touch these up afterwards, and it just sliced right through these things like butter. This was the last one. Let's get them in.
rip this little thing out. Okay. And we'll decide the height and stuff. You can even go more my way, or you can go that way.
I got like a 2-inch, 3-inch gap in mine.
So we were saying on this one just 3, but I don't know the math.
With determination and caffeine, we ended up getting this job done. Just kidding. We definitely didn't finish today, and honestly, the whole project was just a blur at this point. We tend to be overzealous when we are first coming up with these ideas, and this was far more challenging than we originally expected it would be. But we pushed through and kept digging holes, and the posts were going up. As we kept at it, we figured out a more efficient way to work and get those posts in. And we used a string to help us make sure that we were setting these posts straight in addition to using the level. And Eric was just doing a kick-butt job getting the gravel back around the posts. Nice job, hun.
Look at these holes. You said deep there? They're like 5 feet deep.
Whoa.
Oh, it's not collapsing.
Now, when we purchased these posts a few months back, we had a vague idea of how deep they were going to be buried. And it turns out we wanted them to go into the ground a little deeper, but they had already been cut to fit on our trailer. So we took advantage of the couplings and screwed 2 pieces together and extended the post that way. It worked out awesome. Those metal posts never got lighter, and I'm thankful we had Eric's manpower to get this project done. At the end of the day, we only had one more stinking set of fence posts to put up.
Day 4 of the project, and we're supposed to have a storm coming in either later tonight or into tomorrow. So we're out here trying to hustle, and a couple of these pipes, these 2 in particular right here, something's a little different on them. I don't know what it is, but for some reason the threads are like thicker threads compared to the coupling, so they're not going on all the way. And what I'm going to do is just thread them on until they grip, and then we're going to weld those. I got 2 of them to do. Everything's really coming together out here and looking good. It's looking like we're trying to cage in some sort of beast with this huge fence. And the posts themselves, I think we're averaging about 4 feet underground, so we're burying them 4 feet. And then the spacing is a little different. On the long side here, or the 2 long sides, we are every 14 feet we have a post, and then on the short sides we're closer to 13 feet. I'm gonna get these ones ground down, there's a lot of rust on them, and see if we can weld them up. Used about 1 pound of welding rods. Or is this a pound? I think this is a 2 pound. Oh, this is 5 pounds. Shoot. We use like 3 pounds.
Got it.
That's it! She's done! Woohoo! I can't believe we did it! This was a very big feat. Very challenging. I'm not feeling the best right now. I'm gonna need a little bit of time to recuperate. And I felt it was important to mention where kind of some of the inspiration came from for this garden, or whose idea it was. So it was actually Eric's idea. He mentioned this back.
Long time ago.
Yeah, he had thought some metal, he wanted to do metal. I don't know if he wanted to do like square steel tubing, and then what is it called? The welded wire mesh?
Yeah, instead of going electric fence, which you know you got to like take it up, you got to put it up and take it down in the winter and string it around, you got to do all that. I was thinking we'd just do a taller fence for moose, not have to do electric.
But what's that stuff called that's in the concrete that you wanted to use? You thought about using that?
Oh, yeah. At first I thought about making the fencing out of welded wire mesh sheets.
And I had some concerns because fencing can kind of bend a little bit if it's not strung tight.
Yep.
And we did have issues with that in the past. I don't have any concerns with this one
even though we haven't put the actual fence roll up. But so we didn't go with that. What we ended up going with was a roll of fencing that's 8 foot tall, so great moose protection. And I didn't really know about this idea when Eric first told me, but we happened to be driving one day and we saw the most beautiful fence I have ever seen in my life. And it literally was this exact fence. And it was just a gentleman off the highway had a fence built. We were actually able to talk to him and he gave us some resources where he got some of the materials. So this is literally what it looked like, and it's, I don't know why, I think it's like the bee's knees. I don't even know what to call it. It's just the coolest looking fence post ever.
Yeah, his was a little bit thinner of posts, maybe like 2.5-inch posts. I guess that's what the metal place had. Ours happened to be a little bigger, so it's 3.5-inch pieces of pipe. And like Arielle said, she's not feeling very good. I'm not feeling very good either. We beat ourselves on this project. I don't think we thought it through enough on how many steps and the repetitive process of digging post holes for 37 posts.
37 posts, not including the bracing.
Cutting every single post, whether it was a 20-footer, a 10-footer, or a 15-footer. We cut every single one of these. We a bunch of welding, notching. It just took a long time.
That's why we thought we could get it done a little bit quicker. So we're going to be postponing the fence pulling until maybe a few days after this rainstorm because we're just not physically in shape for it, and the garden's still, this area is a mess, so we need to get it prepped.
And we had a feeling that if we were going to do this garden out of wood, first off, if we were going to do it out of wood, we wanted to make this garden last, so I think we're leaning towards doing like pressure treated wood. And to get something thick enough for a garden this big and a 8-foot fence that is that heavy, we were thinking you would have to use about 6x6 posts. Pressure treated, they need to be 12 feet long. And we priced it out compared to the cost of this metal.
They're like 90 bucks, yeah.
And it was about the exact same price. So this metal actually,
it's under $3,000.
yeah, it was about $3,000 for all this metal, and
Used.
that's used. Metal is not cheap in Alaska. If we were to buy all this metal brand new, 3.5-inch pipe, 1/4 inch,
I don't even know the cost.
I don't know how much it would be, but it was a lot of pipe. It was about 5,000 pounds worth of metal.
But it was comparable, which is really interesting to us because metal is obviously wins when you're talking about wood, because even pressure treated wood does not last forever.
No.
This corral garden area would stand here for a very long period after me and Eric are here, even if someone wanted to use it for something else.
Arielle was using her thinker the other night, and she thought about screening our soil. So once we put our fencing up, it's going to take a lot longer to screen our soil inside here because I'll have to go out our gate, go down, make a turn, grab the dirt, and come all the way back around. But if we do it now before we put the fencing up, I can just go right between these posts and it's going to be a lot faster. I think I'm going to work on that for a couple days, get our soil in here. I also need to go along like the edge of the whole perimeter where we put these posts in, and I got to either use a shovel or if I can get the tractor in there, get things kind of smoothed out for when we roll our fence in there.
Using my thinker, I also tried to remember how long it's been since we built our first garden, which was back in Oregon, and it's been about eight or more years. So this is our third garden that we're building, and that was not the plan, guys. Originally, when we were at that place, I thought it was our forever home at least, and then we moved. And then we moved again. So we're now building this again, and it's not necessarily like we want to. I'm grateful for the opportunity to do it, but what I mean is it's just a lot of sheer hard work. So we're trying to make it last. We're grateful that you guys get to be a part of this process and journey with us, whether you know it or not. You definitely are really a part of it and going through all this stuff with us. I didn't mention it earlier, but we buried Bo smack dab in the middle of the garden. I'm pretty sure right over there, actually. And it's just going to be a really awesome thing when we're done.
Yep.
Still a lot more to do.
Looking forward to it. It is hard work. It'll be worth it in the end. No one's going to do it for us, right?
And donut high five. What do you think?
It's good. Looks good.
I did the leveling. Man, I can't believe it's done. For some reason, that little sucker looks crooked, no?
That one does, yeah. In the northern part of Alaska, and this pipe has actually drilled oil, which I just find that kind of fascinating that in January from a metal place we like to go to in Fairbanks. And we picked this all up in January from a metal place we like to go to in Fairbanks. And then the ones that aren't in the corners will probably go like 2 feet. And then the ones that aren't in the corners will probably go like 2 feet. And then the ones that aren't in the corners will probably go like 2 to 3 feet in the ground with those ones.